Hello, welcome to today's session. We'll just allow a minute for everybody to arrive and then we'll begin our discussions. Welcome to the delegates who are already here. I can see more people are still arriving through the gate, so we'll just give them another moment before we start. Just a couple more moments and then we'll begin. A warm welcome to the delegates who've already arrived. Okay, well, hello and welcome to today's session. My name's Rachel Reed. I am Director of Insight and Business Improvement here at ETOA, and I am delighted to be talking travel tech today in conjunction with our partners at the Travel Tech Show. Today we have Alex Gogar with us, who is co-head of distribution, application and tech provider management with the Lufthansa Group, so representing airlines. Welcome, Alex.
Hello.
We got Tony Hart beaming in from ITB. He's the Chief Sales Officer of Tax to Pay. Morning to you, Tony.
Morning, everyone.
Hello, and we got Bal Basra, who's Director of Sales and Marketing at Open Destinations. So hello as well, Bal.
Good morning, everybody.
Yes, so as I say, we are going to be talking about three key issues that we can hopefully help alleviate with technology. We're going to cover cost, efficiency, customer experience. As I say, we're doing the webinar today in partnership with the Travel Tech Show. ETOA is a long-standing partner of the show, and we're delighted to be so again this year. It's in London on the 25th and 26th of June, so book your spot if you haven't already. And before we begin our discussions, I'm going to kick off with a 90-second video from the partners at the Tech Show.
This is just the start of my journey into the future of travel technology.
Everything's changing, and travel is part of that enormous exponential shift that we're seeing. And I think the Travel Tech Show is at the forefront of that change.
There will be challenges along the way, the need to learn about AI and the latest technologies.
Travel Tech Show is where you go if you want to get a profound understanding of what digitalization is for tomorrow.
This is where I keep my travel business ahead of the curve. I can get game-changing insights and enjoy great networking.
It's the only place where we can kind of get together with everybody in one place and really get value out of 2 days.
Really get acquainted with what are the new tools that we're going to one day think, oh my God, I couldn't live without that. It's definitely getting ahead of the curve, what you should be looking at, not just this year, but 2, 3, 5 years down the road.
It's the #1 show, in the UK, possibly in the world, of demonstrating the best travel technology.
We're going to talk a lot about AI and how AI is integrating into a lot of the products that Google is developing and utilizing today.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. Make the effort to come.
It's that opportunity to connect with people, have a discussion.
The quality of attendees, absolute leaders in business travel. It's a great place to be, should be here to learn, and we can all share ideas.
The industry evolves, as the requirements evolve, as the needs of the customers evolve. It is always a constant journey.
This is the Travel Tech Show. Let the journey begin.
So you can get inflow by using your eyes in a...
There we go. So do book your spot for the Tech Show. Just a reminder to ETOA members who are travel tech suppliers, we will be having our usual complimentary passes for you for the show, so look out for those in your inbox. And so let us get to the nitty-gritty. I want to start off with the subject of costs, because I think this is something that is crucial to any business. And I think, well, I'll come to you first, Alex. We want to think about the key areas where travel businesses can lower costs. And I suppose where I'm coming from in this is, I mean, do you think that technology is mostly the answer to this, or are there other things we can consider alongside? So yeah, let's come to Alex first on that one.
So first of all, good morning once again. Thank you for having me here, exchanging on this very relevant topic. And I think especially after the COVID, we also learned at Lufthansa Group that we have to be a little bit more agile, to try to work a little bit more smarter. And to answer your questions, yes, I do believe that technology plays quite a crucial role in driving these efficiencies. And in my opinion, we should expect some massive changes in the travel business this year. And I think also your video mentioned it at some point. Nevertheless, I think there are also certain factors that we can consider alongside the technological aspect that to me, it's also a bit of a medium as a vehicle to achieve these efficiencies. Maybe first of all, also keeping a little bit of a more strategic approach, and also happy to share something from the best practices we have at Lufthansa Group. What we notice is that lately things are moving very fast. So the dynamics of the markets are changing in a very quick pace. And I think it's also important to continuously review how do we actually stay relevant to the market and to understand what still makes sense for our business. How do we actually place ourselves as a premium company, as a premium service? How do we actually continue to drive this commercial success, be it revenues being lower cost, while still keeping the customer at the heart? And one topic I would like to bring here up is really the topic of collaboration, and also to understand, do we actually have in-house all the skills we need to drive these successes? Or is it sometimes maybe more economical to invest in some valuable partnerships, and also based on our strategy? And maybe also to give you a couple of concrete examples, I remember that after COVID, we wanted to address more prominently the topic of duty of care. So something we had our SME corporate segment at that time, so we wanted to address it in a better manner. And I remember we partnered up at that time with Navan, so a new player on the market, a new rising star. They still are, and we launched Business to Go, which is our SME platform. So this is a good example how we manage actually to stay relevant to the market, to be agile in a tough time where we didn't have maybe all the skills at that time in-house. But we have other examples like that in terms of partnerships, like WeChat, which is the famous direct-to-consumer Chinese sales channels. So we wanted also to be present there. And this allowed us at Lufthansa Group to meet the Chinese customer on their preferred channel. Yeah, so that was an example that we managed to drive success without really putting our own resources there. Maybe a second aspect also coming from the distribution side is how do we actually reinvest, let's say, more smartly the resources that we save from being more efficient. And as you may know that in the last decade, we have invested quite a lot in trying to provide a more modern way of retailing our product, to work more collaboratively also with our distribution partner, and eventually we managed to save in our distribution costs by having this NDC channel, and also allow us practically to reinvest in new features, new functionalities that helped us to improve the customer experience, such as continuous pricing. You probably have heard about it. Yes, I think there are many other aspects we can also bring there. I don't want to take the entire time. What I wanted to say is also that key is really to find the right balance between what is technological investment and also what is more strategical and operational.
Yes, it's absolutely. And Bal, if I could bring you in on here, because one thing that Alex mentioned was, this idea that you may not necessarily have skills in-house when it comes to lowering costs. And I know outsourcing is something that's quite big in open destinations. Maybe you could fill us in on that one.
Yeah, so Open Destinations has technology offerings and outsourcing offerings, as you've just mentioned. The outsourcing business grows every single year. We take new customers on. Customers working with us already generally want more people working for them. And I think, to answer your question, why is that? So typically we sell into Western organizations. They operate in markets that are, in labor markets that are competitive, where people are expensive, and increasingly where finding people to do fairly menial back office jobs is difficult. People just don't want to do those things nowadays. So sort of a perfect storm of problems. And I think with an outsourcing practice, purely from a cost point of view, FTEs in certain parts of the world come in at a significantly lower cost than FTEs in the West, right? About a third is the average that I see. So immediately you can look to offset a big amount of your human resource cost by taking on an outsourcing partner. Now, is cost the primary reason people do it? No. Does saving cost represent success? Partly, yes, but fundamentally, you have to get the mechanics of the outsourcing process correct. So you can't simply say, here is something that we do, let's kick it over the fence to Open Destination or another outsourcing partner. It's really a case of partnering with that organization where you still own that business process, be it contract loading, finance reconciliation, airline ticketing, whatever it might be, but you have not an infinite, but an agile and scalable pool of resources to ensure that you can meet your business need when things happen, when we need more people, we need less people. So yeah, it's very much finding resources quickly, taking that problem away of hiring and training, both which carry a cost, and then ensuring that team are seen as an augmentation of your team, an extension of your team, rather than a group of people somewhere else in the world just doing something for you.
Yes, absolutely. And Tony, I think, obviously taking payments is fundamental to any business. And I think, it would be lovely to hear from you how we could do that in a more cost-effective manner.
Yeah, as we've just mentioned, the cost of bums on seats, for want of a better word, is expensive. The last thing we want is human interaction in many places as possible. It's just going to drain your profit margins, and so accessing solutions like here at Pax to Pay, where basically what we're doing, Rachel, is we are focused on UK and European markets, so across the EEA and UK, and we're providing secure payment tools, payment methods to OTAs, DMCs, tour operators, any travel business. We only support travel. And what they're then able to do is to efficiently contract with new suppliers, efficiently pay suppliers, automate supplier payments through API connections or batch upload solutions that we have, and really focus on driving value, not just to themselves through whatever payment method they're using, but also, having a positive relationship with their supplier. And that's really a part of our solution, is to offer multiple products which enable you to engage with your supplier and find that product which meets both their needs from an operational perspective, so drive efficiencies and lower costs at the supplier end, but also feel that benefit at the OTA, tour operator, DMC end as well. So very much accessing automation for reports, capturing unique data on a per transaction basis, and reducing that need for onerous manual processes. That's the way that we see as increasing efficiency and lowering cost, really.
Yeah, I mean, the two go hand in hand, really.
They do.
Efficiency and cost. I should say, do please feel free to type in questions using the Q&A facility, and we'll pick those up as we go, or we may have time at the end as well, depending how the discussion goes. So do please type your questions in the Q&A. I should also mention, because a couple of people have asked, we are recording this and we will make it available to you afterwards as well. So I mean, thinking about that point, actually, Tony, you were saying about lowering costs and efficiency go hand in hand. But I think something that does worry some businesses, particularly small businesses, does that come at the expense of the customer experience, really? Would they notice us cost cutting, as it were?
An efficient payment method is actually critical to your customer experience, because as we've mentioned, whatever type of supplier you're paying, be it an airline, be it a hotelier, or anyone, a cruise line, anyone in that payment vertical, an efficient, acceptable payment method on the B2B space, this is where we're operating, purely at the business-to-business payment, is critical. And then, from a customer experience piece, the check-in is seamless because the payment's been accepted. If you're a business traveler, no one's asking you to, where's your business card? I've already got a virtual card that's been used to make that payment. If you're an OTA, the airline has seamlessly accepted that B2B payment. you're not experiencing friction at the front end of the booking process where the end payment has been refused in the B2B, which is happening real time. And therefore, having situations where an OTA sees a flight increase, a cost increase in that flight, or even availability, dropping off very quickly in peak times. So I think that whole, end-to-end payment experience absolutely, meets the customer's needs. And if it's a seamless process, the customer obviously never knows that it's happening in the background. I always try to explain what we do to non-travel people, and they just don't see how it happens. What is going on? Why would these people need to make payments to, I've already paid the OTA. Why is this payment happening in the background? So it's because it's seamless. They don't need to know, and a good payment provider will help you make that happen. And that's where I think, Pax to Pay has stepped in with a range of products that really fit every supplier need. If I go back to, I joined the sort of virtual payments world in 2014, and there was an education piece at that time around what a virtual card was. Now, virtual cards are a critical piece of infrastructure that every OTA tour operator will utilize, and that's feeding right down to those smaller agencies now, where it's becoming the norm to pay a hotel with a virtual card or bank transfer, which we have as well. But yeah, I think it's a critical piece of infrastructure that really does aid that ultimate customer experience and drive repeat customers back to the DMC and OTA at tour operators.
Well, yes, it's encouraging to hear you say that, because I think that was why we called this webinar Reaching the Elusive Goal, because I mean, that is your absolute ideal, isn't it? That you lower costs, you increase your efficiency, and that also is a better customer experience because you're using a better product.
Exactly, and having a range of product offerings, which is where we feel is the real focus now. Back in 2014, there was a more limited set of products. But having a range enables you to engage with your suppliers and have those, meaningful conversations around how can we, because it's a symbiotic relationship. They both need, your supplier wants their product to be booked and sold, and the OTA or the tour operators engaging with their customer. So we need all these things to happen without any friction, and having those open conversations sometimes with your key suppliers is going to be, really, really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Alex, just thinking about this from the airline point of view, would you agree with Tony that if we can get cost reductions that increase efficiency, it always benefits the customer experience, or do you think sometimes it's at the expense of the customer experience?
Yeah, first of all, I feel that, yes, I do agree. First of all, I feel that also in the airline industry, we still have quite a lot to learn from certain e-commerce platforms or fintech companies. And yeah, I mean, I think it's important to identify as a company where you can drive certain efficiencies, but we should make it the less disruptive for the customers if possible. And of course, there is always this initial phase. We all want to push innovation. We all want to drive change. And there is always this initial phase where you need to test and learn. But the key is how you make it the smooth as possible for the customers. And there are ways actually to deploy that. So also from our learnings, you can select a smaller customer base or a specific market and really try to scale up based off immediate feedback. And also in the matter of the chatbots, for example, so we also noticed that they actually appreciate that they can do changes by themselves, that they can ask information. So not always depending by a human person. Nevertheless, yes, there are critical situations where we do need this human touch. So also here, really try to find the right balance. What do we automate, and when do we actually need this person who really understands you? Like the more emotional aspect, let's say.
Yes, and actually, I think that's sort of a convenient segue again to bring you back in, Bal. And one of the things we were speaking about before the session was this idea: is our customers happy to speak to an AI chatbot, or is that a denigration of the experience? I think it's interesting what you've had to say on that, Alex. And I suppose, I mean, we obviously have to think about AI, and I'd really like to hear, but Bal, I'll start with you about, you know, where do you think that AI is having benefits for the business and for customers? And I guess it would be also interesting to see whether you think there's any downsides now we're getting a bit more used to it in the industry. You know, is it all sunshine and roses, or are there some things that we should avoid with AI? I think let's come to you first, Bal.
Yeah, I think with AI putting a business lens on things, it's very difficult to see a downside. Yeah, if we tie it back to cost, wherever I've worked previously, we go into meetings and we talk about AI and we talk about it increasing productivity and reducing cost, right? And that's us and the 1,000,001 other software vendors on the planet, regardless of the industry they're operating in. You know, the value of AI requires people to define what it is they're trying to do and what a successful outcome looks like. My personal view on, I think, Tony, you mentioned frictionless and ensuring things are frictionless. If anything you do from a cost-cutting point of view or otherwise introduces friction that hits your customers or introduces friction that disrupts a business process that was running relatively smoothly, any cost saving you garner from that activity, you'll lose elsewhere. You'll lose new business with customers. You'll find that your expensive people that you hire that work for you directly are spending more time doing things that they weren't doing before. So it's really important to make sure that whatever you do does not introduce friction, be it customer facing, be it internal operations. Now, AI, who knows where it's going to go? I use it every day for a couple of hours as a minimum. From a technology point of view, you know, we hosted our annual customer day. When was it? December last year, and we canvassed opinion from our customers around what do you want to see in the AI space. Everyone, the word that stood out was assistant. Everyone wants assistance for everything. And I think translating that is people saying there are parts of my job I don't want to do. It feels pretty repeatable. It makes sense for a computer to do it for me. Now, in travel tech, where are the opportunities? I think, you know, if product loading, it takes a lot of time. If you're changing technology platform or migrating from spreadsheets to a system, there is a lot of product to upload. That is repeatable. It's simply read information. It's not complex. That is ripe for an AI process. Quoting and booking, I'm not sure. I think whoever cracks it first will win, you know, a huge prize in terms of new business and reducing their operating costs. But I think that then very quickly crosses over into something that causes the friction to the customer. Customers engage with specialist tour operators to get expertise and get advice from people. They will talk to a consultant that knows a destination inside and out and potentially knows the customer as well from years of building a relationship. For me personally, it's where AI done well there does not take away the sales agent and customer interaction. The sales agent has to be the face, the front of that conversation. And then what happens behind the scenes is then ripe for AI. It's not customer facing. Go and build me a quote based on these 15 inputs, or some sort of prompt engineering interface where you list out a client's preferences and requirements and a quote is built for you. So I think that's an example where, yep, AI can be used. It can make cost of service cheaper. It can allow a sales agent to maintain more booking processes or prospecting processes simultaneously, but doesn't deviate away from delivering a great customer experience. And I think, putting my consumer hat on, I don't speak for everyone. I definitely don't do that. I don't engage with bots. Like, if I'm spending money with an organization or I bank with an organization and I want to talk to someone, I want to talk to a person. I'm not interested in engaging with a bot. And if I engage a bot in a pre-sales environment where I'm thinking of opening up an account or engaging a travel company to build a quote for me, I'll walk away. Like, I don't see value in that interaction. I'd rather pay 10% more and speak to a person. But that, again, that's my personal preference. I'm sure some people see it the same way. But it's that thing again, anything you do in AI, it has to be frictionless to the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting you say that, Bal, because I think I'm a bit like you with the bots. I suppose it's because like Alex was just mentioning, you do need that human touch with certain things, because I suppose of the inability of a bot to pick up nuance and sort of slight linguistic preferences, I think, is probably where that comes from. But Alex, coming to you on AI, obviously we've spoken about the chatbots, but I think we'd all be interested to hear, where airlines are at with AI, either from a customer-facing point of view or from the back-end distribution. I mean, is it all great? Are there some downsides? Let's hear from you.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, I very much also agree with Bal when he says we need to be careful, like really think through. And yes, key is also to understand the tangible ways where AI can actually bring value to your business. And let's say also coming from a distribution perspective, I do see the AI application in certain processes, like having the end-to-end process in mind. And I just wanted to add, so what Bal mentioned, that yes, they can help with repetitive tasks, but another thing where I think AI has a competitive advantage is really how it managed to work to synthesize big amounts of data. And that's, I think, where is really the added value. And again, keeping in mind the end-to-end process from, let's say, from inspiration, from searching, from servicing, I would definitely see AI, and I think it's actually happening really in trying to support a more personalized shopping experience, like really try to discern data, to work with data and to understand better the passenger. So look at the travel history, convenience, travel profile, and try to understand better their needs. Eventually propose upsells, selling ancillaries better, explaining ancillaries better, promotions, and I think also ChatGPT now is becoming quite a new source for inspiration and search. Let's say moving forward in the booking, so there are actually use cases where there is the conversational booking, and there is, for example, Swifty from Lufthansa Innovation Hub. So this is like an AI-powered application to plan and book travel, using indeed this kind of conversational manner, and you can ask, for example, to explain you what kind of ancillaries you might have on board, to explain like fare conditions better. Another thing, what I also read is in the revenue management, so real application of AI to support in dynamic bundling, for example. But definitely what is the most popular, what we are also exploring a little bit more is in servicing. So also the chatbots are very popular, and as I mentioned at the beginning, like really helps you to deal with large amount of information. And as mentioned, yeah, this is where it actually brings value, help you really to synthesize this large amount of data and actually to complement the human support. But again, I think there are many other very useful use cases. That they do are a couple of also some concerns that we have identified, and yes, let's say users, customers in general are willing to test, let's say, booking using AI technology, but like really booking, like the adoption of the bookings when AI is used still takes a little bit of time, and I think is what we called nowadays the hallucination effect, is the idea if we can actually rely on AI. And I think this is still something we believe it might take a little bit of time. So probably it's also a bit of cultural, maybe in the European markets, they are a little bit more reluctant compared to other markets. But yeah, we still see a little bit of concerns maybe to fully rely on a Gen AI based application in customer interfaces in general. But there are again many other topics like data concerns, privacy, initial cost. I'm sure that Paul and Tony have also many other concrete examples to share. But again, here also key of implementing AI is really strategic, where it adds more value, but also, as mentioned by you, Rachel, how do we actually maintain this human oversight in the critical areas?
Yeah, I mean, I quite liked your inadvertent summary that you gave there, Alex, which is that it's a complement to human support. And I think that's kind of where we're reaching. And Tony, where are we with that in payments? Because, I suppose payments isn't necessarily something that's directly in the customer's face as such. And I guess I do think there's more opportunity for AI in payments because it's at the back end. Or where are you at with that?
Yeah, I think so. Here at Pax to Pay, our focus has been to utilize AI internally, where we see that there's benefits and not sensitivity to any data that we're sharing on AI. So that's been a real focus of us. So yes, we want to utilize it to speed up our internal processes. But I think much like Val and Alex have said, we see probably that when you're dealing with quite large amounts of money for our customers there, it's pretty sensitive to them. I think from my experience, I would say that yes, we can support with AI functions on low level, almost some kind of customer care type operations, but very much at that low level. But we value the customer relationship so highly that we would always look to accelerate and have that engagement on a more a one-to-one basis. So I think from our side, there's undoubtedly things we can do to drive efficiencies within our business, but retain that customer relationship and human visibility to our customers. Although our industry is a global industry and can be perceived as very, very, very large, it's actually when you kind of synthesize it down, it's actually quite small, and there's a lot of personal relationships that are driven through business, and you want to retain those and support all of those in a way that you would expect yourself. So for us, yes, undoubtedly AI will play a big part, but we see real value in our human interaction, and as Val said, not adding extra layers of friction to drive away customers. But yeah.
Thank you. I mean, so I suppose tied up with all of this, we've been tangentially talking about efficiency as well, and we've got a question here from Sue Burnell, who is from Wisteria Tours, which is a small family tour operator. And Bal, this is probably mainly for you. She was saying, what is a good technology for her to adopt to reduce manual systems? But I'd like to extend that question out a little bit as well to encompass Alex and Tony, really to say, what do you think is the number one thing a smaller business could do, to increase efficiency and reduce manual work? So I'll come to you first, Bal.
Yeah.
On that.
I don't necessarily think size of company really influences whether an organization should do something or shouldn't from a technology standpoint. But of course, the risk is exponentially higher to that organization if an investment is made that then doesn't pay off. Now, what should that company do? I think it's easier to say what they probably shouldn't do, because I see a lot of things that I think companies shouldn't do every day, right? And it's don't ask for the world. Like, work out, your organization better than anyone. Work out what's important to you. Engage vendors honestly. Like, the number of times I speak with prospects who give me a list of 70 integrations that they need, and it takes 7 meetings to figure out they're only using 2 of them today, and they might want 2 more in a month's time, and the rest of them are somebody wrote them down on a piece of paper because they did a search in Google or whatever else. So don't ask for the world. Figure out what's important to you. And then define your requirements from there, right? And every requirement, yep, you need to do it must have this, it should be able to do that, etc., etc. It should tell a story. If these requirements are delivered, can I measure the upside to my organization? If I'm going to make a £50,000 investment in a piece of technology, do I see £200,000 of benefit to my organization's bottom line at the conclusion of that project and after 1 year of operation? And I think if you can understand the levers and bits and bobs that you can pull and benefits that you're looking to obtain and quantify them, then my advice would be engage vendors honestly. Like, if you engage a vendor where you're quite coy, don't want to share too much, and I'm not suggesting to come onto a Teams call and say, I've got a budget of X, like, terrible thing to do. I'd love to know your budget, but no one's ever going to tell me. But just find companies that have been operating for a long time, ask to speak to a customer as a reference point of view, and just you go through the conversation assuming good faith from both parties, because it's pretty obvious when somebody's lying, be it a prospect, be it a supplier, and you won't finish a process, a sales process out without proving and backing up what it is that you've said that you can do. So yeah, operate honestly and truthfully, and really have a very clear grasp of what the good outcomes that you're looking for are and what that means to your bottom line before reaching out and engaging with tech companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think based on our experience as being a small company, I would concur with that. Tony, what about in payments? What do you think is the most important thing a business could do to increase their efficiency?
As Val said, obviously, the scale of the business dictates a lot of the technology that can be implemented in-house, or if they've got their own development teams and so on, if that's at the larger end of the market, of course. But for a smaller, maybe owner-managed business, where maybe personally, I would say engage with their tech partners, as Val said. Ask about what integrations you have, and express that, could we, are there integrations into the payments world that they've already got existing in those tech platforms that they're using today? And if not, find partners that do have all of these, because, here at Pax to Pay, we've engaged with multiple channel partners. So from flight aggregators, our sister company is a company called Paxport, who distribute low-cost air carrier content, NDC content. There's a seamless integration into Paxport, where you can access cards, but also they distribute through other tech providers as well. So there's multiple channel partners that can give you access to multiple products that really will drive that efficiency. It might not cover every aspect of your payments portfolio, so it might be more of a flight-focused tech partner. It might be more of a hotel-focused tech partner, but you at least will get access to these types of products, which may seem only really accessible to the very largest OTAs who've got the budget to implement and develop automated solutions themselves. So I think channel partnerships and engaging with your tech providers will really open the doors. And maybe if you've got a tech provider that doesn't have virtual cards in its stack, maybe it's not the right tech partner to have. If you feel there's a real need for you to have access to that type of product, but you don't have the resources to integrate yourself. Ultimately, our product is not only available via technical solutions, there's also a portal available. So there are manual ways to access products like ours, but it depends on the scale of the business, how feasible a manual card creation product could be. But yeah, we've developed solutions that fit all types of business, from bulk uploads to create multiple hundreds of cards in one upload, through to individual cards for individual transactions on an API feed as well. So yeah, engaging with your tech provider, I think, is probably a great route to find products and solutions that's going to really drive those efficiencies.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you speak there, Tony, reminded me of I started my career in the travel industry in the 1990s as a tour director, and when we crossed the border between France and Spain or wherever, we had to get separate travelers' checks and go and cash them in, and that was before we could pay for any entries and all. And I just think how phenomenally convenient life is now with all of these electronic payments. It's amazing how far it's come.
Exactly. My son was recently in Australia, and he traveled around Asia as well. And I got worried about it, so I gave him access to a virtual card, and was able to flip in different currencies for him. And that was something. But I'm not saying that was our solution in the Far East, but there's tech out there which helps everyone, of course.
Yeah, it is. I also had to make telephone calls from a phone box with a phone card, which again seems just sort of ancient, but there we go. Alex, so coming to you on efficiency, based on your experience, what is the main thing that people could do to make themselves more efficient on the airline side?
First of all, I just want to say that I very much relate to what Paul mentioned at the beginning, and the importance of engaging with vendors, suppliers, and also from our experience. So most of the inefficiencies are driven, or our business needs are not understood properly, and this also translates into high sunk cost. And that's why I also want to raise again, like, really take necessary time to invest in this due diligence phase, and really make sure that your partners, providers, suppliers do understand your business needs. But maybe taking a step back, what I would like to say, I think it's also very important to look outside from time to time, what happens, looking at the trends, and also to understand your external but also internal stakeholders. For example, if you want to offer to your, if you're a corporate, if you want to offer to your travelers If you see that maybe they are looking for more convenience, they are using apps, mobile, and I think it's important for them to offer what they need to manage their bookings or their trip in a seamless manner around the clock is possible, and to engage with your provider with that. And also like having a better platform that proposes you end-to-end solution from booking, hotels, ground services, recommendation by AI, be it, including servicing capabilities. So this definitely reduces a lot of manual work and also meets your stakeholder needs. Yeah, so be it internal or external, in terms of be it, again, convenience or speed.
Absolutely. And we have conveniently got a question here from Marco Derivo of Mickey Travel Group that kind of leads us nicely into the sort of end section of the webinar. Marco, it's lovely to see you on the webinar again, Marco. I should just say Marco is the treasurer of ETOA and he attends nearly all our webinars, so we're really pleased to have you again. His question was about kind of looking into the next few years. What do you think is going to be the best use of technology in the coming few years when handling groups and FIT travel? And I suppose we could sort of slightly broaden that to just what do you think is the most exciting developments coming up? What's got your imagination? Let's go with you, Alex, as you're on the screen.
I think also from my experience currently, and again, I think I mentioned also a lot the application of AI. I think AI is a big thing that is really happening. It's not a hype anymore, but it's something that is real. And I really see a lot, as mentioned, in the personalization of travel, actually. So really understanding better who you are and how, let's say, the respective platform can give you a product that is really customized to what you actually want. And the second aspect is really on the servicing. So I really expect to see a lot of changes in how we actually do servicing. So be it that we use NDC or maybe in conjoint with the AI sometime, who knows, like duty of care, for example. And I think there are even platforms now that are starting to send you updates, flight updates, or if your flight has, the gauge has changed. So I think these are the things that also come short to medium terms to happen.
Absolutely. And Tony, what's got your interest?
Yeah, so I can only really comment on a payment side of things. I'm not so engaged with what's happening with FITs and groups and such for Marco. But yeah, for me, it's broadening our range, our offering to meet the needs of an ever-evolving customer base. Payments is exciting. It's always changing. There's new technology that we're all experiencing in our consumer lives every day, and I think a lot of this tech will filter into the B2B world as well. So I think for the exciting things for us is that what we expect as consumers will undoubtedly feature and the expectations that we have as a B2B supplier payments tool. So I think Pax to Pay it's all around seamless payments. It's all around finding the right type of payment for the right type of customer, the right type of supplier, so that we can really, help them engage with their suppliers and have those meaningful conversations and remove that friction. I think, that's where we're focused anyway. Yeah.
Oh, great. And Bal, if I could come to you, and perhaps if you can speak a little on the exciting tech for groups and FIT, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think we're hearing both groups and FIT are growing, and the growth is exceeding the underpinning growth rate of the travel and tourism sector, which is obviously great for us because that's the type of company we typically sell our technology into. If I look at the trends in that space, and again what our customers are telling us, client demands are off the chart. Things people are asking for are things people were not asking for 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago. So people want in the FIT space, hyper personalized, differentiated experiences. And that experiences starts from the moment you engage with somebody to effectively it doesn't end. You could make a case it ends after you return, but immediately if things went well, you're going to be pursuing that person for the next booking. So I think from a tech point of view, you need a system that is going to support managing increasingly complex to support selling to increasingly complex and demanding prospects. People want more things and they want different things. You need to be agile. If your client is asking you to source a service for them that you haven't sold previously, what is your path? What is your route to having access to that service quickly? Is it via an aggregator integration with something like Travelgate X? Is it speaking to and being connected to more DMCs in the market you're selling outbound to ensure you know the latest and greatest things that are happening? And without anything happening, the latest and greatest from that DMC appears in your inventory pool, so you can sell it immediately and you understand how to sell it with the descriptions that will flow into the system. What else do we have? And I think, yeah, a lot of it's going to hinge around AI. I think, for risk of overdoing it on the AI side, we are going to ship our first AI product this year, likely going to be a product builder. So you want to sell the Hilton Park Lane, rather than spend 3 or 4 hours getting the information, keying it into your system, just let a bot do that. There's a raft of information on the internet, on the Hilton website. You don't need to do that anymore. A bot can do that for you. And then it's extending that to what else should we be using AI for? And I said earlier, we were speaking to one of the largest travel agents in the UK that sell quite high-end product. They pay their staff quite a lot of money because of the knowledge they have and how good they are at selling those holidays. If one person can get 20% of their time back because an AI bot, an AI assistant can take the information they've learned from their customer, take the information from the client CRM profile and build a proposed itinerary, they might be able to serve twice the number of customers and go from doing £500,000 worth of bookings a year to £1 million bookings a year without you necessarily incrementing your cost. So yeah, I think that's probably the area where we see the most value and we're hearing the most excitement.
Thank you, Belle. Actually, that's kind of just led me on to what I was going to mention for our final discussion point. We're just coming into the last few minutes of the webinar now. And your mention of hyper-personalized experiences. I was actually going to come to that with regards to, it'd be interesting to hear what factors you all think are changing the travel landscape. And I think absolutely, Belle, I was going to highlight that one. The hyper-personalized, but also this desire for flexibility and wanting to book and pay last minute, which can be a real challenge for lots of people in terms of cash flow and forecasts. And I would say also, I think an interesting shift we've been witnessing is this desire for experience-based travel. Not necessarily I want to go to Paris, but I want to go and experience fantastic gastronomy or something like that. So it's kind of a shift in the way that people are looking for trips in the first place. And it's not necessarily where they go, I want to go to a specific destination. It's I want to do a specific thing or enjoy a certain experience. So I mean, that to me is something that I think is quite a big change that we're seeing. And so it would be interesting to hear if you have any others. So Belle, I know you mentioned hyper-personalized. Is there anything else you think's shifting business?
Yeah, I think, look, so my view on travel is travel does personalization very well. I've not been back in travel for all that long. It was June last year. And prior to that, I was working primarily with pharma and real estate organizations. They don't do personalization very well. So that when you turn up to the same hotel that you've stayed at a couple of times before, and you're greeted with a name, with your favorite drink, they say hello to the people you're traveling with. That stuff all feels good. Away from sort of looking at personalization and shifts, I think travel companies are looking to deliver. It's very much around differentiation. So we work with a number of DMCs, and we're seeing them sort of structure their teams with, right, if somebody is asking for this type of experience versus that type of experience, let's build domain expertise here and domain expertise here so we can offer the highest level of service. So I think, yeah, we're seeing our clients react to changes and trends in the market. From a technology point of view, I'm not going to sit here and promote our technology beyond the others. Generally speaking, booking systems can manage complexity pretty well to an extent. But for me, the key thing here, and this is going to go against reducing cost and go against AI, personalization works well when somebody speaks to somebody else. Like the time has passed where I log into a website, it says my name in the top right corner. I'm like, wow, they really know who I am. what an amazing experience. Like that just doesn't cut the mustard anymore. So for me, and I think particularly looking at the customers and clients we sell with, invest in your people, retain the good people, and then figure out how you can make them more productive, how they can build more relationships and nurture more business for you.
Absolutely, yes. And Tony, what do you have any thoughts on what's shaping the business?
Well, I mean, just to pick up on Val's comments around that sort of, ever increasing personalization and, looking for unique experiences. I think, a payment method in the B2B space becomes ever more relevant in that situation, because probably you're going to have suppliers which you don't have long-standing relationships with, which you might be using on a relatively, could be a one-off basis for a unique experience, but it could be something where you don't have that, contract in place, and basically with a virtual card product, don't need to have that kind of commercial agreement in place. You just need to understand how much is it going to cost me. Great, I can send you a card that covers that cost. So, engaging with solutions like Pax to Pay there enables you to broaden that set of suppliers, exponentially, without any real need for complex meetings and so on. And then if you go further and they become a key supplier, obviously you can build that relationship into those further discussions and talk about finding the most appropriate form of payment, the most beneficial form of payment to both parties. But yeah, widening the scope of suppliers is absolutely something which card products can do to meet the needs of everyone except Visa all over the world, as we know.
It's true. Yes. So, Alex, I'll just come to you for the last word on this then. So, what do you think's changing the business and shaping the future?
Maybe just to keep a little bit this customer centricity. I remember I recently read a passenger survey from IATA that actually showed that travel wants indeed more flexibility, more transparency when planning, booking, but also speed and convenience at the airport. So maybe just to end up also what Val and Tony mentioned, I think it's important that we continue to invest in our digital channels, in our digital payment solutions, and really to prioritize this kind of investments to ensure that we really have this end-to-end process for our customers. And that's also what we try in the end to achieve with the NDC technology.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I think we've covered quite a lot of ground today. So just before we close, I'd like to thank Alex, Tony and Bal for sharing their expertise. We very much hope to see you at the Travel Tech Show in London on the 25th of June. ETOA will have a stand there, so do stop by and say hello. And I wish you all a very good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks. Thank you, Rachel. Bye-bye.